of El Paso rode a stranger one fine day. Hard eyes like burning coals and hair of silver gray. No one dared to question him or ask what he did seek, but word spread fast he came from the hills of Bitter Creek. He wore a worn-out duster and a gun upon his thigh. The sheriff watched him closely as he slowly passed him by. There'd been talk of a killer riding southbound just last week, and the only soul who matched the tale came from Bitter Creek. He came for blood, he came for pride, with a ghostly calm and a quiet ride. A wanted man with scores to keep, the man who walked from Bitter Creek. At sundown came the silence like the still before a storm. He stood outside the tavern in that coat so old and worn. Inside was Clay McKinley, a name the law still feared, but justice walked on booted feet, and now it stood right here. The door flew wide, no words were said, just eyes that locked and burned. Clay reached for iron, fast and cold, but slow would be his turn. A flash of sound and silence fell across that weathered street. One man lay still and one remained, the man from Bitter Creek. He came for blood, he came for pride, with a ghostly calm and a quiet ride. The town now knew what he did seek, the man who rode from Bitter Creek. Now legends grow like desert dust where wind and silence meet. They say he once lost kinfolk to the outlaw Clay McKee, and though he's gone, the canyon walls still echo when they speak. Don't cross the man who rides alone from out near Bitter Creek. To Blackwood Gulch a rider came near the dusk of a dying year. Dust on his hat, a forgotten name, and eyes that held no fear. The townsfolk watched from shuttered doors with whispers soft and low, for Sheriff Blackwood kept his scores and reaped what fear did sow. The stranger walked with quiet tread, no challenge in his gaze, just looking for a truth unsaid through Blackwood's smoky haze. He spoke no word of who he sought or why he'd come to stay, but in his calm a lesson taught, some debts you have to pay. He came for silence, not for sound, with justice etched on haunted ground. A reckoning whispered on the breeze beneath the Blackwood Gulch's shadowed trees. The sheriff swaggered bold and loud, his tin star shining bright. No room for strangers in this crowd, best ride on through the night. The stranger stood as still as stone beneath the fading sun. My business here, he said alone, has only just begun. The air grew thick, the tension high, a challenge in the dust. Two shadows drawn against the sky, on iron they would trust. A flicker fast, a single shot, the sheriff hit the dirt. A silence where the echoes fought, a wound that truly hurt. He came for silence and not for sound, with justice etched on haunted ground. The reckoning now the whole town sees beneath the Blackwood Gulch's shadowed trees. The trail led down to Serpent's tooth, where miners toiled in vain. For Jedediah Thorn uncouth held tight the golden ring. A shadow fell across the town as quiet as the grave. A rider cloaked in dusty brown with nothing left to say. He spoke no greeting, asked no name, just watched with eyes of ice. The weary folk who played Thorn's game and paid a bitter price. The air was thick with untold fears, the silence loud and deep. A reckoning built through stolen years from promises to keep. He rode the wind, a whisper low, where seeds of sorrow sadly grow. A specter sent to break the spell, the ghost of Serpent's tooth from hell. Thorn laughed aloud in his saloon with whiskey strong and cheap. Another fool beneath the moon, my secrets I will keep. But when the stranger met his gaze, Thorn's laughter caught and died. He saw the end of all his days in eyes that held no pride. The challenge hung a wordless dare, the street was cleared and wide. Just two men standing in the square with nowhere left to hide. Thorn drew his Colt to desperate plea, but found his hand too slow. The stranger's iron wild and free delivered justice blow. He rode the wind, a whisper low, where seeds of sorrow sadly grow. The specter sent to break the spell, the ghost of Serpent's tooth from hell.
he claimed no victory boast, he vanished with the night. But Serpent's tooth had seen a ghost that brought the dark to light. And miners whisper to this day when shadows start to creep, of how their fear was swept away while Jedediah sleeps.
Red dust swirled round a weathered sign, said hopes and population 9. But hope had left there long ago, just bitter winds and seeds of woe. He rode a horse as black as sin, with weary lines etched deep within. A battered hat, a faded vest, putting hard miles to the test. The saloon door creaked mournful sound as boots hit planks on hollow ground. Eyes like flint, they scanned the room, dispelling any lingering gloom. Bartender wiped a dirty glass. What'll it be, stranger, moving fast? He just said, whiskey, leave the jar and tell me where the liars are. Dust devils do a whispered name, playing out a dangerous game. He ain't here for fortune, ain't here for fun, just settling scores till the job is done. No hero song, no angel's grace, just a hard truth in a harder place. 3-car sharps dealt a crooked hand, the kind that steals a poor man's land. They laughed and drank, thought they were sly beneath the cold and watchful eye. The stranger watched his patience thin, the devil's luck about to spin. He knew their tales, he knew their greed, planted a righteous, vengeful seed. He tossed a coin, it spun and gleamed. One game, he said, or so it seemed. The cards flew fast, the tension grew, a final hand for all the crew. The aces high, a cheater's grin, but the stranger's draw was bound to win. Your luck's run out, his voice was low, time for the dust devil to blow. Dust devils do a whispered name, playing out a dangerous game. He ain't here for fortune, ain't here for fun, just settling scores till the job is done. No hero song, no angel's grace, just a hard truth in a harder place. He left them broke with pride in tatters, showed them truth's the only thing that matters. Rode out of hope, sent back to the plains, washing off the dust and bitter stains. Some say he's justice, some say he's fate, a whirlwind sent to seal their stay. But one thing sure, where wrongs accrue, the dust devil comes to claim his due.
Dust hung low on Redemption Creek, where whispers turned to sighs. A lone man walked with spirit meek and sorrow in his eyes. And they said he'd been a man of sin with hands that knew no grace, but now he sought to cleanse within in this forgotten place. He built a church from sun-baked wood with windows stark and bare, and spoke of truth misunderstood to anyone who'd care. No fire and brimstone in his plea, no judgment harsh and cold, just tales of how a soul could be remade from stories old. He was the preacher of Redemption Creek, with a voice as soft as willows speak, carrying burdens deep and vast, hoping for a peace that's meant to last. They say a ghost still walks his trail, searching for a love that couldn't fail. A gang rode in one dusty noon, led by a heart of stone. Old shadows danced beneath the moon of seeds the preacher'd sown. We know you preachers gnawed their chief, your wicked days of yore. The preacher bowed his head in grief, I am that man no more. They dragged him out to meet his fate beneath the burning sun. He offered solace, not just hate, for every deed he'd done. No gun he drew, no angry word, just met them eye to eye. And in that silence something stirred as clouds began to cry. He was the preacher of Redemption Creek, with a voice as soft as willows speak, carrying burdens deep and vast, hoping for a peace that's meant to last. They say a ghost still walks his trail, searching for a love that couldn't fail. The gang rode off, their spirits low, a change upon their face. For in his end they came to know a different kind of grace. And Redemption Creek still hears his call, a whisper on the breeze, of how a man can give his all to find an inner peace.
sun bleeds red on canyon walls, where ancient winds now sigh. 1,000 tales the desert calls, beneath a boundless sky. Of riders bold and fortunes lost, of dreams turned into dust, of lines uncrossed at bitter cost, and iron turned to rust. There was a man, they speak his name, in whispers soft and low, who rode through fire, ice, and flame, where only legends go. No star he wore, no righteous claim, just justice in his hand. A silent force who played the game across this weary land. Hear the echoes in the canyon, calling through the years, of a hero or a phantom, banishing all fears. His spirit rides the dusty plains, a legend true and old, washing away the bitter stains in stories to be told. He faced the corrupt, the cruel, the vain, with eyes that knew no lie, and brought a cleansing righteous rain beneath a stormy sky. From border towns to mountain peaks, his silent vow he kept, the answer that the silence speaks, while weaker spirits wept. They say he sought no earthly prize, no gold, no land, no fame, just looked for truth behind the lies, and whispered freedom's name. And when his final task was done, he rode into the west, his silhouette against the sun, a hero truly blessed. Hear the echoes in the canyon, calling through the years, of a hero or a phantom, banishing all fears. His spirit rides the dusty plains, a legend true and old, washing away the bitter stains in stories to be told. So listen close when night winds blow across the open range. A legacy began to grow, a world he helped to change. Though names may fade and trails grow cold, his courage will remain. A story whispered, brave and bold, again and yet again. Hear the echoes in the canyon, calling through the years, of a hero or a phantom, banishing all fears. His spirit rides the dusty plains, a legend true and old, washing away the bitter stains in stories to be told. The West remembers, it always will. The echoes linger still.